Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Morning Breath. This topic is a little bit of an extension from an earlier topic, labels. And today I think we wanted to kind of give our opinion on going indie versus going with the machine.
Yeah, meaning, do it yourself versus signing to a label.
Yeah.
We were doing some research on this earlier and trying to come up with some solid facts, and then we realized that this is really going to be more of an opinion piece.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have anything negative to say about either thing.
Do you stay indie or do you go after a record deal?
The answer is both.
Yeah. We kind of came to the consensus, maybe first one, then the other.
It does still exist that artists will just get discovered and all of a sudden just make a record and then they're famous. Done. Their first open mic, they get signed to like that exists.
Yeah, it's still gonna happen.
But if that's what you're chasing, then you're a fool. You've got to put in the work. You'll see me tweet and Instagram, Facebook a lot. I'll say go indie, and what I mean by that is work hard and go put your music out there, but you've got to do it the independent way. Don't go searching for this magical thing to happen.
Yeah.
Go be happy with what you're producing, and just like anything in business, constantly strive for the next thing.
Yeah.
And then see what happens.
You have control over your own destiny, and you have control over your own music. You have control over your product. So you can take your product wherever you want to go, but that means also you are completely responsible for everything. So you're responsible for all the stuff that a label would do, for the marketing, social media management, distribution, recording, producing. A lot of people may work better that way. They don't want anybody. They don't want the.
That's what we do.
Present, yeah. So
for now,
yeah, we think we can keep control of everything and we can make it work. We kind of decided maybe until it gets too big for us.
You're gonna have to hire out at that point.
Yeah.
One of the perfect examples the most famous example right now of a successful independent musician is Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. However, we discovered through some research that they hire out the Warner Radio people. Yeah. But they're still independent. They can hire out for things like that. Mm-hmm. Some of the other people we were looking into were Peter Gabriel. It was an interesting surprise.
Really? I didn't know that.
I didn't look too much into it, but that's just his name was listed. Wilco. Then there's Amanda Palmer, who was signed, and the label dropped her because it didn't do as well as she thought. And then she band together all of her fans, and now she's this powerhouse of a DIY musician.
Yeah.
And a huge inspiration. If you don't know Amanda Palmer, look her up. Ed Sheeran
was an independent artist.
I didn't know that.
I can't remember who his partner was, but he worked with somebody much like Macklemore did, and they made it, and they did really well without label support. I think maybe they realized, at this point we're big enough, we could use some help. And again, I read this in an article, and what I gathered from it was that the label, because the label had seen they were able to do this mostly on their own, the label didn't muck around with them. It said, okay, you guys know what you're doing. We'll just give you the money and the connections and all that stuff, and you do it, and we won't bother you that much. When you do that, you could just as easily not. You could wait for a really good deal. As a couple of the artists we wrote down here,
those guys,
was it Dave Matthews and Ingrid Michaelson? Presumably. I remember hearing this.
We could have some of this information wrong, so I apologize. We didn't have time to do all the research on it, but this is what we found or know to be true. They, had offers out there and just waited because they wanted the right deal. Which also brings me to another point. I do know a ton of independent artists that are rocking it. Yeah. Okay, first example, Whitherward. I love where we're at. Yeah. That's us, by the way.
In case you were watching all of these and had no idea who we were.
We're Whitherward. But we do everything ourselves. We are our own label already. We just don't have a name for our label. We do everything. Julie Gribble.
Oh, yeah.
She tours her heart out. Erica Sunshine Lee. I mean, you see people post all the time on our page, hardest working woman in the music business. Scene. Yeah, we just did some shows with her, or a show in Colorado. Totally independent, doing it herself. Grayson, I just saw him. I was just reading a Facebook post. He's got one of the most played singles in the country right now.
No kidding.
I think he hired a radio promoter, but he is an independent artist.
Nice.
He does it all himself. Krista Youngs, who has like thousands of hits on YouTube right now. She's an independent artist, makes incredible singles and incredible music videos, and that's her thing. She does it all on her own, and she's incredible at it and really making some headway here.
Absolutely. But yeah, so there's a lot of people out there that we know personally who are having what we would consider fantastic careers, you know, with very little, if any, help from labels. Everybody starts out indie, you know, and that's been true for years. But if you wait for a great deal, then by that point, you're going to be big enough where you'll probably need one anyway. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what we determined. I mean, even Ed Sheeran needed one eventually, you know.
Yeah.
It also takes some of the stress and the pressure off of it. And at that point, you can really create what kind of deal you want because you're going to have multiple options out there for you. I'm proud of all of my friends. It's awesome to watch. I think I'm seeing a lot of people who are really close to being at that point where maybe they can start looking for that deal. Hopefully one day we'll be there as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can turn down some record labels one day.
That'd be nice, huh? Well, what's the song for today?
Okay, we're doing a song by one of our favorite artists named Brandi Carlile. Well, one of my favorite artists named Brandi Carlile.
I like her too.
This is one of my favorite songs that she does. Is she indie?
I have no idea.
I don't know. She might be. Look it up.
Without further ado, The Eye by Brandi Carlile.
It really breaks my heart to see a dear old friend go down in the worn old place again. Do you know the sound of a closing door? Have you heard that sound somewhere before? Do you wonder if she knows you anymore? I wrapped your love around me like a chain, but I never was afraid that it would die. You can dance in a hurricane, but only if you're standing in the eye. When did you learn to walk? Where did you learn to run away from everything you love? Did you think the bottle would ever ease your pain? Did you think that love's a foolish game? Did you find someone else to take the blame? I wrapped your love around me like a chain, but I never was afraid that it would die. You can dance in a hurricane, but only if you're standing in the eye. You can dance in a hurricane, but only if you're standing in the eye. I am a sturdy soul, and there ain't no shame in lying down in the bed you made. Can you fight the urge to run for another day? You might make it further if you learn to stay. I wrapped your love around me like a chain, but I never was afraid that it would die. You can dance in a hurricane, but only if you're standing in the eye. You can dance in a hurricane, but only if you're standing in the eye.
So thanks again for joining us. Please remember to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Extra special thanks to our patrons for making this possible. If you want to become a patron yourself, go to patreon.com/Whitherward. You can start at just $1 a video, or you can go up from there. It's up to you, but that support would be really great.
We do release all of the behind-the-scenes footage on the research of these topics on Patreon. So if you want to watch that, please go to Patreon, and it's just $1 to watch that. Watch Ed and I argue. It's fun.